Whether we like it or not, bad reffing just appears to be something that is a part of the sport. It can be both comical and unfortunate in the case of Cecil Peoples. Yeah, he's just sitting on that guy. There are plenty of other famously bad referees like Kim Winslow, Mario Yamasaki, Larry Landless, and perhaps the most well-known bad ref, Steve Mazzagatti.
Does anybody here disagree with me that Mazzagatti is a f***ing toolbox?
He once ruled a KO loss when it was obviously just an eye poke, and another time awarded Matt Hamill a win on the basis of striking John Jones' elbows with his face. But every referee makes mistakes. Things happen so fast, it's impossible to avoid. Where it gets really crazy though is when a fighter's safety is put into direct jeopardy as a result of the poor officiating. In these cases, there are no excuses. I'm Jason from MMA On Point, and what you'll see today are the 10 craziest late stoppages in MMA. So as I said in this intro, we are basing this list on fighter safety, so you won't hear anything about stoppages that happened too early or ones that shouldn't have happened at all. Nothing silly, this is the more crazy and dangerous stuff here. Number 10, Pat Curran versus Joe Warren. At this time, Pat Curran was perhaps best known for derailing Roger Huerta by decision, who was also the first MMA athlete to grace the cover of Sports Illustrated, and despite a couple of losses in the UFC, still looked promising in Bellator. So when Curran was matched up with then Bellator featherweight champion Joe Warren, where he was actually the betting favorite, what happened next was still shocking. After landing a huge knee to the head of Warren, Curran proceeded to hit him an astonishing 37 times unanswered before the referee Jeff Malott finally stepped in to stop the bout. There was seemingly nothing keeping him on his feet except for the cage, as you'll see him fall into it multiple times. Despite being a former MMA fighter himself, Jeff Malott failed to see that the fight was long over before finally stepping in. Afterwards, it was reported that Joe Warren puked and received a concussion, but the hospital reported no permanent brain damage. Number 9, Junior MARANHAO versus Matt Manzanares. This next fight is one of the most unsettling on the list. It took place in Cheyenne, Wyoming at Resurrection Alliance number 14 when Matt Manzanares was taking on Junior MARANHAO for the vacant flyweight or 125-pound title as the main event of the card. It was a back and forth fight with each fighter showing their strengths, but at the end of round 4, it looked like it was the end of the fight when Manzanares locked MARANHAO into a triangle choke, but was saved by the bell. So everything seemed fine at the time, and MARANHAO walked back to his corner for instructions in between rounds. Then he suddenly collapsed unconscious from his stool. His team was able to wake him up and sit him back down, which was disturbing enough, but what's especially disturbing is that despite a doctor being called in, they simply just asked the corner if he wanted MARANHAO to continue. His corner said yes, so the doctor pats him on the back and walks right back just like that, and it's allowed to continue. Miraculously though, MARANHAO finishes the final round afterwards and is totally fine despite losing a split decision to Manzanares. Technically, MARANHAO's corner, the doctor, and the referee are all to blame here, but the referee should have waved it off the moment he saw MARANHAO on the ground. Crazy to think everyone was just simply fine with continuing after that. Number 8. Olaf Alfonso choked and beaten. Olaf Alfonso was an early WEC mainstay and a crowd favorite that competed for the lightweight title against the would-be Strikeforce champ Gilbert Melendez, losing by TKO, and again fighting for the vacant title against Gabe Rudiger. During the first round, Olaf's wild style appeared to be winning out, with some big haymakers appearing to hurt Rudiger and even nearly finishing him with a rear naked choke. But within just a couple of minutes in the position, he was reversed and Olaf found himself in a rear naked choke himself. Josh Rosenthal, the ref who is mostly known for getting busted with selling a shit ton of weed and being a solid ref in some of the biggest UFC fights, struggled during a bizarre sequence of events. Multiple times while in the choke, Olaf passed out, appearing to regain consciousness, passing out again, coming back to, and passing out yet again.
He faked him. Is he faking him out? Oh, he's trying to
On the
get
fourth
out.
time though, he went back to sleep with his eyes open, rolled back, when Josh Rosenthal finally came to stop the fight. Really late on that one. Somehow though, this wasn't the end of Olaf's referee troubles. He was back at it again against the WEC vet Rob McCullough when he was hit with a huge right that flattened him at the start of round 2. During the process of this, his mouthpiece went flying to the back side of the cage. For some reason, instead of following the action, the ref just decided that the obviously dazed fighter wasn't what needed his full attention and opted to go to the back of the cage to grab the mouthpiece. As a result, Olaf took 3 huge right hands from McCullough that were totally unnecessary before the referee could get back in place to stop the fight. Tough break, Olaf. Number 7. Gilbert YVEL versus Carlos Barretto. Both of these fighters are Pride and UFC vets, but on this occasion, we're fighting for the regrettably named Too Hot to Handle promotion in the Netherlands at the main event for the card. As bad as their name is though, they managed to put together a great card, also featuring the Overeem brothers, Semi Schilt, Ian Freeman, and Gary Goodridge. Unfortunately though, this wasn't the Brazilian Barretto's night. The first couple of the minutes appeared to be going really great, when oddly the ref stood up Barretto, although he had Gilbert YVEL in a full mount, which appeared to be a response to the crowd being bored with the ground game. So this was already a horrible call, but as you can guess, things get a lot worse. Almost immediately after this stand-up, the two fighters tussled, a takedown is stopped, and the far superior striker, YVEL, lands a massive right hand. Rightly, the ref waves off the fight, but again influenced by the crowd and Barretto's wobbly protest of the stoppage, reverses his decision moments later, and Barretto is instantly knocked out cold with a vicious knee and follow-up right hand. Good thing that soccer kick didn't land. Jesus. Number 6, Kim Couture versus Sheila Bird. This is one of the most famously bad referee calls, and for that reason, many would expect this to be higher on the list, but trust me, it gets worse. But if you haven't seen this before, then the Couture name might sound familiar. That's because she was the then wife of Randy Couture. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean talent and ability went with the name though, and that's a broken jaw. Not kidding. By the time of this fight though, she was 3 out of 4 in her professional MMA career. So when she took a fight against rookie Sheila Bird, this fight was seen as a way to get back into the win column. But those hopes were quickly dashed. Just over a minute into the round, Kim finds herself in a leg scissor choke. You can see her trying to free herself into about 3:20 in the round and go totally limp. This is held all the way until...
Yeah, she landed some good punches before going back, and now it's... That's it.
And that
over.
is it. She is out.
Yeah, 3:08. That's 12 to 13 seconds unconscious in a choke. Check an arm, or I don't know, maybe watch for signs that a fighter is unconscious next time, asshole. Number 5, SILMAR NUNES versus CAIO SILVA. This is the most recent on the list and by far the most chaotic entry. It all took place in Brazil on September 23rd of 2017. What happens is CAIO SILVA goes in head first trying to snag a takedown on NUNES when NUNES catches him in a guillotine. From what I can tell, Silva goes limp right about here, and in an interview with MMA Fighting, NUNES says he told the ref that Silva was out, but the official disagreed. First checking his leg, which is a bit odd, and even checking his arm that is clearly limp but still doesn't stop it. This is when all hell breaks loose. Silva's brother jumps in and attacks NUNES. Silva's brother apologized after the fact for attacking NUNES when he saw him check on his brother, but claims that there was a 24-second hold before it got broken up. When I watched the video, I count about 17 or 18 seconds based on when Silva's arm went limp. Either way, the ref didn't appear to be prepared to call it, and his brother may have very well saved his life. Silva said his brother had a massive headache the next day, and as of now, there is no evidence of permanent brain damage, but he must have been really close. The story goes that the ref Gomez was picked out from the crowd to officiate at the last minute because he was a fighter, but was apparently a bit drunk. Number 4, ASHA ROKA versus HANNA KAMPF. If you're like most fight fans here in the US or in the UK, you might have heard about the Super Fight League or SFL based in India and part owned by boxing star Amir Khan. But that's about it. There are a few differences from how we are used to watching it, and probably the biggest difference is their league system, which means fighters are part of teams that earn overall points for wins over a period of just a couple of months, and the team with the most points at the end of it all is the league champ. In this fight, Team Sherry Punjab's ASHA was fighting the Bengaluru Tigers' HANNA KAMPF during the tournament semifinals in February 2017. And yet again, we have a fighter rushing in for a takedown that is then caught in a guillotine. Here, KAMPF struggles for about 5 seconds, but then she is essentially out. Clearly, her twitches and small seizures throw off the referee, but despite this, you can tell from at least 4 minutes and 38 seconds when the position is rolled over to mount that she is totally out. From my count, this lasts at least a full 22 seconds before KAMPF's trainer, who's actually the longtime UFC vet Dennis Hallman, throws in the towel and jumps in the cage to quite literally save her life. But the whole ordeal didn't seem to bother anyone in the SFL very much, as the same ref was actually working the very next week for them again. Number 3, AHMED MUJTABA versus RODIAN MENCHAVEZ. This next fight took place in 2016 for Underground Battle MMA in the Philippines for their featherweight championship. From the word go, MUJTABA was able to control the fight, securing a takedown in just 6 seconds into the fight. From here, it's one submission attempt after the other until MUJTABA is able to get to Menchavez's back, and from there he secures a choke quickly. From what I can tell, from at least 2 minutes and 38 seconds to 2 minutes and 8 seconds, MENCHAVEZ is out cold. What makes this so crazy is how lethal that amount of time to be choked is. Incidents of this same kind have happened in the past where people died from 30 to 40 seconds of being choked out. And the basic reason for why, for those that don't know, a rear naked choke isn't cutting off your breathing. It's called a blood choke because it stops oxygenated blood from getting to your brain and back out. So rather than a few minutes it would take you to die from asphyxiation, it only takes a few seconds to end somebody's life with a blood choke. Jesus Christ, don't ref again. God damn it, don't ever ref again. Number 2, Murat Kazgan versus Mehmet Agakishev. So this next one is a bit different from all the rest. In most of these cases, it was simply the referee failing to see the signs that a fighter was unable to continue or choked out. But for this video, it's something entirely different. It took place in Istanbul, Turkey for the RC Rhino Series tournament when the Turkish star and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Murat Kazgan was set to take on Mehmet Agakishev. Fairly quickly into the match, Lord Pitbull slams Agakishev hard into the mat and snags a quick arm triangle. Now, we've got a very experienced referee here who is paying close attention, walks around, get a better angle, and oh, maybe he just didn't see it? Or maybe they just have a rule where you have to tap like 10 times just to be sure that he's done. Oh, there it is. The ref has to tap. That makes sense. Jesus fucking Christ. How could you miss that? And number 1, Rogerio da Silva versus Eric VENUTTI. Tired of seeing chokes? No worries. This one is a bit more brutal. Definitely the oldest match on the list. Took place for the Brazilian Vale Tudo Fighting number 2 or BVF number 2. This was a one-night tournament that happened all the way back in May of 1996. And it happens really quickly as Rogerio lands a big right hand that all but knocks out VENUTTI. And you know what? Quickly the ref jumps in to stop the fight. Finally, a really good referee. Alright, and that's my list, guys. Thanks for watching. Oh wait, that's not it. I'll just let you guys watch this part.
He either wants him to finish him, and a kick, and that's it.
Yeah, probably the most insane finish on the list, and the dumbest referee call by far. To close this out, I think the announcer says it the best here.
VENUTTI, not even in the fight, the referee says, come on, and was completely devastated by a beautiful right kick to the face.
Everybody, I hope you are having a fantastic day. You'll notice I left off a bunch of things that are probably a bit more famous, like the Jan Finney versus Cyborg fight or Mark Munoz versus Juan Cordero. So there are a bunch of ones in there. I'm kind of curious to see what you guys would have added in for your top 10. But those are the ones that I thought were a little bit more crazier. And I think just because it's those kind of more amateur, or at least kind of the outskirts scenes, and some of them are from back in the day, that it ends up being a little bit crazier. But kind of curious to see what you guys thought. But upcoming news, I'm actually working on a Conor McGregor Notorious documentary review. I've never really seen anybody do this in the MMA space, so it'd be pretty interesting to do. And I've got some interesting ideas, so I think it'd be a lot of fun. But expect to see that, and then we've got some other exciting news that we should be debuting next week, which we're really excited about. But yeah, and then a bunch of end of the year stuff, so we're starting to plan ahead for the end of December and all that, so should be a good time. But if you guys haven't checked us out in our podcast, that usually comes out on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, so go ahead and tune into that. We are on iTunes now. MMAonpoint.com is live. We've got our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so make sure you're following us there. But thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you at the next video. Have a great day, guys.